Hey everyone, it's Rob Foglia and Jessica Klein with Foglia Properties at Keller Williams here in Nashville. And we're coming to you live today to have a discussion about frozen equity. What is that? What does that mean? And how do we help solve those problems? What services can we get you connected with if you're running into this? You ready to jump in and get started, Jessica?
Yeah, I'm very interested. And that might sound like a very exotic phrase, but it's something that applies to so many homeowners. So I think it's really going to be helpful for people to see this video.
Yeah, absolutely. So frozen equity, it's something that we don't hear too much about in the real estate industry. But basically, what we're talking about is it's money that people have in their homes. It's the equity they have in their homes that they can't access because it's in an asset, it's in their property. And so in order to access it, they might need to sell their property or do something to somehow tap into that money. The reason why we're bringing this up is we're hearing this a lot from people. We're hearing well, I don't want to sell first before I buy because where am I going to move to? Or, hearing questions, some variation of that, almost concerned because like we've talked about in some videos that there is somewhat of a shortage in homes for sale. And it's almost like a perpetual cycle in that, if you think about it, because there's nowhere to sell or there's nowhere to move to because people aren't selling because they have frozen equity, and it just continues and continues and continues. So we wanted to touch on a couple of ways that if you're in that situation, if you're thinking, well, I'd like to make a move, but I need to sell in order to buy, and I don't want to be homeless. If that's you, we're going to talk about a couple of ways to solve that. So first things first, the first way that we get around it is selling first and negotiating terms that make sense for you as the homeowner for the move. What I mean by that is because you might be thinking, well, if I sell first, that doesn't solve that problem.
Right. That makes me homeless, right?
Yeah, some people might be thinking that, but there
Yeah.
are things that we can do, like prolonged occupancy periods. I mean, we have one closing pending right now, excuse me, that's closing in October, and I believe the buyers are taking possession sometime in December. I mean,
Yes.
we have the ability to negotiate things like that. It doesn't happen every single time, and yet we can make that happen, is what we're getting at. That's just one example right there. Sometimes it's just a longer closing period as well. I mean, there are things that we can do that then give us time to basically for you to access that equity so you can go ahead, Jessica.
Yeah. And an important note there, as a seller, because there aren't so many properties out there, you do like we're seeing buyers be very flexible with these terms. And, they love it because they don't have to spend a ton of money. They can just be a little bit flexible with the closing date or whatever. And it's easier to meet on these terms. So like you said, you could either have a long closing date. So that means you have lots of time to look for your new house, or you can have a closing date and then you can stay in the home while the buyer technically owns it. And then you have time to look for your next home. But there are many different versions of that and many different terms to play with in a contract.
Yeah, exactly. And because what that does then is it allows us to sell your home and then line up the closing so that you buy your next home at the same time, have the same closing date. So then the equity you have in your current home, that maybe that's going towards your down payment, or maybe you can't, qualify from a mortgage standpoint to own both homes because there's a lot of situations that are out there. If that's you, long story short, is this going to allow us to move you from one home to the other relatively seamlessly, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Another way to solve the issue is something that we have access to. It's kind of a tool in our toolbox that unfortunately not every real estate agent knows about. I think it's one of those things that helps make us different, and that's the home swap program. So we have access to a lender that's out there that actually does what they call an equity advance loan on your property. It's almost like, old school, they used to talk about a bridge loan. It's kind of outdated vernacular. We don't really talk about bridge loans in the real estate industry anymore. Similar to that, though, it allows you to tap into your equity in your property for your down payment on your next home. You don't even need to qualify to own both properties. It's cool. It's a cool thing. I don't want to misspeak there, but basically, if it's interesting to you, reach out to us and we can get you connected with that.
Yeah.
Jessica, why do you think that home swap program is appealing?
Well, for the reasons that you mentioned, first of all, I mean, it lets you, like for people like you mentioned who are unable to own two homes at the same time for whatever reason, the loan allows you to do that without officially owning them both. I know it sounds confusing, but we have lots of information that we can provide on that. In addition to that, there's another side of that program that may even help with renovations, some other things that could help you get the most out of your sale as well. So yes, like you said, if that sounds interesting to you, please contact us for more information.
Exactly. And again, that solves the issue of say you own a home that you bought for $300,000 3 years ago or 5 years ago, and now it's worth maybe $500,000. And you're thinking, man, I've got 200,000 plus in equity in the home. How do I access this so I can get to my next property? Or maybe you're running out of room in your current place and you need something bigger. This both what we've talked about so far, whether it's selling first and then negotiating the right terms so that you can move, or this home swap program, both are going to solve that for you. Both of those are going to allow us to help make this move a reality for you. The third thing we wanted to just touch on briefly, it's a HELOC, a home equity line of credit. That's not going to be the right answer for everybody. However, I know we do have some clients, we have some contacts that maybe they have a paid off home and they don't want to take out a mortgage. Maybe you're a retiree, you don't want to take out a mortgage, and yet you've got like you're downsizing basically is what I'm getting at. And you have an asset, it's paid off. You want to tap into that equity so you can be a cash buyer. We can get you connected with some great banks and some great lenders that can make that happen for you too. And so there are a lot of ways that we can kind of solve that problem. If you have that frozen equity and you're like, man, what am I supposed to do about that? Jessica, one of the other reasons I wanted to bring this up is I should have found an up-to-date stat on this. However, I'd heard stats a couple of years ago that said that roughly 3/4 of all home buyers that are out there are in this situation. They have frozen equity and that they need to make something happen in order to transition to their next place. So whether they're selling their home or go ahead.
And it's really interesting that it's phrased like that, right? They're in this situation. Some people might call it a problem, but really it's a huge opportunity because the only barrier to these people buying a home is information. And switching homes is information, and that's what we're here to provide. We navigate these situations daily. It's very simple for us to get you connected with the right people and to make sure that it's a seamless process for you. This is what we do every day. So if this sounds interesting to you and it just sounds a little complicated or you're not sure, just talk to us and we can help clarify your specific situation and which of these solutions might be great for you.
Exactly. I'm so glad you said that, Jessica, because while technology is our friend and there's so much great information we can find online, the reality is that if you just start Googling real estate and start trying to find your own solution here, you're not going to go down these roads. You're going to be looking for homes on whatever website that's out there, and then you're going to still hit these roadblocks. And that's, I believe, what's causing a lot of the indecision, which ends up leading to the low inventory that we're seeing right now. And so if you have desire to make a move, you just have concerns, you're like, what am I supposed to do if I need to sell first and I don't want to be homeless? Connect with us because we're here to solve that problem. This is what we do, though, like you said, Jessica, on a daily basis. Before we cut the video off, any comments on our live feed, any questions on our live feed that we can answer?
It does not look like it, but I'm glad that you brought up questions because in 2 weeks' time, we're going to be doing another special edition of the Real Estate Show, and it's going to be another Ask Realtor Rob show. So if you have any questions, obviously feel free to put them below here or reply to this email if you're seeing it in an email. But at any point in the future, if you have a question, just use that hashtag Ask Realtor Rob, and we will answer it live on one of these videos.
Yes, absolutely. Our plan is to do those special edition videos about once a month. And so if you do have a question, Facebook or Instagram, just use that hashtag. We will answer it. I know we've gotten some offline as well, and we'll answer them that way too. However, we're happy to answer any of your questions because, again, just like you said, Jessica, we're here to be problem solvers. We're here to help solve the equation, so to speak. So if you've got something that you're trying to figure out and you're not really quite sure how to do it, that's what we're here for. So call us, reach out to us, and let us know. Unless you have anything else that you want to add, Jessica, we can probably cut it off there. So appreciate y'all checking this out. If you need anything, you can call us again, 615-591-5665. If you're getting this through email, respond to it. If you're seeing this online, comment and like it, of course, as well. And we appreciate y'all checking it out.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.